All right, in my Golf Clash notebook. Yes, hey, let me check real quick while I'm here. Let's see if they've updated. No, we're still on the Winter Major. They didn't update and they didn't put the Community Cup stuff on there. They used to stay up on this stuff, so we were pretty close, but they're not. They still haven't updated it. Let's talk about clubs. I did some videos a while back, right before the club card trading came out, and we talked about clubs. And then the club, they had the big buffs where they gave a bunch of clubs, not all the clubs, but they gave a bunch of the clubs that were pretty useless. They gave them a bump in one area or another. And then they, anything that was a rare, they gave that extra level to, and anything that was an epic, they gave it an extra level. And so they turned a lot of these clubs that were, pretty much like they had a spot that lasted for a little while and then they became useless. Not so much with the drivers. Like the Extra Mile 9 was like a huge deal. That top spin on there going from 67, that changed the complexion of the Extra Mile. But just like talking about clubs in general, really, it really depends. Everybody out there is at a different level. Everybody got lucky and got some cards. Some people get lucky and they get their Apocalypse the very first day they're in T7. And some people get lucky and get the Spitfire the first day they're in T7. And some people get the Cataclysm. And some people, it takes forever and a day. And so with the clubs, it's really like there's no like standardized deal. It's like, hey, you've been playing for 6 months and you're at this point, and so your clubs are at this point. That's not how it works. Because how many chests have you opened up? Do you play one-on-one where you've got all of your slots full because you don't have gems, and so you're winning matches and you're not opening up chests? Or every single time you win a match, you're winning a chest because you're constantly cycling through? So if you watch my videos, I'm constantly cycling through clubs or chests. Because if you're out there playing, the whole deal in this game is that whether you like being a farmer or not, the farming aspect of this game is to get club cards. And the more club cards you get, the more you can upgrade your clubs and the faster you will get them upgraded. If you're buying packs, I don't buy tons of packs, but if you're buying packs and you're one of those people that buys a $20 pack every week, or if you're playing up at the top and you're buying a $100 pack every single time a pack comes available, you're obviously going to get more club cards. If you're doing the golden chest or the golden shot and you're buying into that every week, you're going to get more club cards. All of those things, you're going to get more club cards. And the golden shot is a way to get some of those clubs because you seem to have a better shot in those chests of picking up clubs, any tour that you have available to you. So everybody out there is going to be at a different level in clubs. And so like which club is the best club? It really just depends on where your clubs are at. And it really depends on how you want to use your clubs. Like, what is your focus? Like, my focus is driver, obviously, is key. We have to use the driver every time. We may get on a hole where we don't have to use a wood. We go driver short iron. We may get on a hole where it's driver wood. We may get on a hole where it's driver long iron. Where are you ending up based on your clubs? How you want to use them? Do you want that really accurate long iron, and you want, like how do you want to approach the game so that you're kind of complementing your clubs together? When we first start, obviously, the rocket, looking at, when we get it, the rocket's going to go up really fast because it's a common. But even when it gets maxed out up here, we're looking at 211 yards in distance. So at no point in its lifespan working towards max does it become a club that has any kind of distance. So if we compare it and okay, at 70 accuracy at level 2, which you're going to get really quick, and at 76 at level 4, which you're going to get to really quick, and at 83 at level 6, this, as strange as it may sound, is your accurate club. Accurate year 8 club to start off with. This is it. And then we get that extra mile when we get to level 2, and now all of a sudden we went from, what was the beginner? Do they even have the beginning clubs in here? They don't even have the beginning clubs in here. So, which hits like 2 feet in front of you. When you get the extra mile, this is why the extra mile is so popular. It starts off at 220 yards. Okay, its accuracy is zip, but you can deal with 3 accuracy. If you know how to use the wind ring method, you can work with the 3 accuracy. That's not good. but you can work with it. And then there are some holes that having an inaccurate club trying to weave and bob it through an area is not good, but you can work with that. It obviously gets better as it goes along the scale. But we're going to love the extra mile when we get it, because now all of a sudden we have a club that can hit farther than, that beginner club must hit. I mean, it's less than 190 because the Rocket's like a massive step up from the beginning club. So now all of a sudden we're at 190 and we can hit 30 yards farther. And it only takes a few levels of this, getting it to level 5. But when you're down here and you're in the 7 accuracy range, I mean, that is workable. Especially when it gets to level 4 and it starts to get a little bit more topspin on it, and it gets some of that stuff. But at level 3, it becomes a pretty workable club. It's got a little bit of backspin, got a little bit of ball guide, and so it becomes the workable club. As you start to get your stuff up, you're going to get these 3 clubs right here are going to be clubs that you're going to use a lot in this game: the extra mile, the big topper, and the quarterback. These are going to be clubs that this is where you're going to live for a long, long time until you can get that rock up and level. Once you get the rock up, you can start to interchange the rock with the QB on some holes. Like if you're playing in tournaments with the rock, it's all about topspin, because it never really starts to develop any topspin to speak of. It's got more raw distance. They buffed it. That's one of the clubs they buffed. They gave it 10 more yards. But it doesn't really start to get any significant topspin until it gets to level 7. And even when it's at level 5 and it picks up that 20, you compare it, it's 222 and 20. Versus at that point, you'll probably have your quarterback up to probably level 8, because it's a common car when you start to get the rock up that level, and you've got 214, so you're losing 6-8 yards, but you've got 41 topspin instead of 20. So sometimes you're looking for raw distance. The rock might be interchangeable. So your clubs are going to change. You're never going to get married to, as far as I'm concerned, as far as drivers go, I'm not married to any of these drivers. I'm going to roll with the punches as they get upgraded. And as soon as I get the extra mile, big topper, quarterback combo going, especially when you get your quarterback to level 3, because at that point you get that extra distance where you're now ahead of the Rocket, and it's really accurate. It's got some topspin, it's got some backspin, it's got some curl, it's got some ball guide. And so at level 3, it starts to show, it becomes my accurate, and I'm going to use it right away. But at level 3 is where it starts to become, the go-to club, the big topper. These 3 clubs right here, for most of the time that you're working up your clubs, these are going to be your go-to clubs. This is why it's important to be in a clan that has more than one bag, because you can have an extra mile bag, a big topper bag, and a QB bag. So you're on one of those holes, you need accuracy. Need distance, extra mile. You need that combo between the two where you need a utility club. And the reason I like the big topper is it's got curl, and it gets curl right off the bat. And because it's a T3 club, if you're playing in rookie tournaments, you're going to get cards for this. This is going to be a club that you will get up to level 3 pretty quick, especially if you're playing a lot down in those lower tours. This club, you will get to level 3 pretty quick, and it becomes a pretty usable club. Accuracy sucks at 25, but you can deal with 2.5 accuracy because of the other gifts that it gives you. It gives you tons of topspin. It gives you lots of curl. I don't normally need a lot of backspin when you're playing in the lower divisions. You don't need a lot of backspin with your driver. So, but when it comes to drivers, you're going to have to roll with the punches as you go along and as you get your clubs developed. And you have to pick, like on that hole, is this one of those holes that I need that curl or that utility? If you watch my videos on a regular basis, I use the big topper all the time because there's some holes that it shines on, especially if you have a big dog as the secondary club. When we talk about woods, woods are another one of those ones you're going to have to roll with the punches. And each one of these woods, especially as you're going up, has some stuff that's awesome. The Viper gives you the Horizon gives you pretty good distance right off the bat, but look at its accuracy. So once again, we're in the 3 accuracy. It gives you some topspin, so it's kind of like that big dog. It's the poor man's big dog. It gives you some power and it gives you some topspin so that you can try and get that ball out there. It gives you a little bit of curl. So at the very beginning, this is a club that you're going to use a lot. I used my Horizon for a long time. I use it until once you get the hammerhead and you start doing that, then you can change them up. And so depending on what driver you're using, like I like my big dog and my big topper, those clubs complement each other. They both have lots of curl. They both have lots of topspin. You can get a lot of stuff done with them. Those clubs complement each other. The Viper. This is going to be, as sad as it may sound when it starts off, the Viper is your accurate wood, okay? With the 20, 35, 40, this is your accurate wood here, and it's a common, so you're going to get lots of cards for it. So matching it up with your extra mile, or matching it up with your quarterback as your secondary club, just depending on how you want to do it. These clubs here, you have to look at where you're ending up out there. For me, in this game, these clubs right here, some of the par threes coming in, obviously, coming in with a little bit better ball guide than the big dog. That's why everybody likes the sniper when it gets up in level, because it's got great ball guide, and it's got great ball guide right from the beginning. I mean, a level 1, I think in my account, I got my sniper to level 3, and I have no idea. It's like the golden shot or whatever, but it's at like level 3, and like, bam, got to level 3 in no time whatsoever. And having a 100% accurate club right off the get-go with 3.8 ball guide, I mean, that instantly supplants a club up here. Even though it doesn't hit as far, it's going to take the place of your Viper just because of the stuff that it brings to the table. So that Viper, if you're going up, if you are working yourself up, this Viper is going to get replaced really quick. So it just depends on what's in your bag and how fast you're playing up. If you're slow playing and you're playing to Tour 3 or Tour 4, and you're trying to get those cards built up in level before you go to the next level, you're going to learn how, and that's not a bad deal, because you'll be able to get these cards close to maxed out. I mean, it hasn't taken me very long on my 99 account to get all of my commons, these lower level commons, to level 9, and I'm really close to getting some of them maxed out so that I can start participating in the Prism chest. And I've never played a T7 match or a T6. When you get your clubs to the point where you're getting some of these clubs, especially your rares like the Guardian, to level 5, 6, 7, and you're in that range, then these clubs, once you get your Guardian so that it's got that 100% backspin, that 82 backspin in here, these clubs become very usable. Like this club right here at level 4 is very usable. You can use it before that. You just don't have a lot of ball guide. But once you get that 3 ball guide, that's big. That's big. So people look at the wrong stats sometimes on clubs. They're looking at like maybe the power and not maybe looking at like how topspin affects it. That's one of the things you don't get with a Guardian, is that you get some power, but you don't get any topspin. So how that affects it. Having those bags so that you can go out there and play with those clubs and see what it is. In tournament stuff, it's different, because in tournaments you can pick the club that you want before you go out on that hole. But when you're playing day to day, if you're in a clan that has multiple bags, and it's super important to be in a clan that has multiple bags. Everybody wants to have a clan where they're the president and they're the one running it and they're the only one in the clan. That's not going to do anything for you. Join a clan. Learn how clans work. And then if you feel like, once you understand how that works, if you want to start another clan and bring some people with you, then you can do it that way. Or maybe that clan wants to start a second clan and you want to be the president. You volunteer to be the president of that clan. Where it really comes to head for me on clubs is you have to deal with what you have with a driver. And you have to deal with what you have for a wood. But when you're talking about long irons and short irons, this is where your game is made. And my whole goal is that I don't want to end up in the rough or the sand. So you have to deal once again with whatever you got for rough irons and sand wedges. You're going to have to fly them up as they go up, as you get cards for them. The whole idea is to stay in the fairway. Fairway to fairway to green. Fairway to fairway to green. These are the clubs right here, in my mind, is where you make your money. Long iron and short iron, especially short iron. And I'm definitely looking for things in these clubs that when I watch, I'm looking for things that people may not be looking for. I'm looking for, in long iron, I'm really looking for utility. That's why I really like a Saturn, because it has good stuff pretty close. I mean, all of these commons get stuff more when they go up. When you get into level 8 is when they really start to shine. But having a club, when you start off, you've got the Grim Reaper. So you got a little bit of distance, you got no topspin, you get a little bit of topspin, you got a little bit of backspin, you got some ball guide when you get it to level 2. So you could start off using this club. The Backbone, it gets some accuracy relatively quick. At level 4, it's a common. So at level 4, it's 50% accurate, 2 per ring. Accuracy is key. I don't mind having a 50% accurate long iron. That 2 per ring is really easy to do stuff on. I'm really looking for utility in the club. So, like what kind of utility can I get out of it? The Goliath hits far. So if you're finding yourself on those holes where your wood's not getting it done, one of the reasons that the Goliath is really popular is because your wood's not quite getting it done, or your driver's not quite getting it done, and you're going from your driver to your long iron, or you're going from your driver to your wood to your long iron, and you're looking for distance. Typically, on most of the holes that are out here, I mean, think about how the holes play. Par 3s, we're on the hole. So we're either using a long iron or we're using a wood. Par 4s, you're typically driving from the tee and either getting on a 1 or you're short iron off. Occasionally long iron, depending on the driver that you have. On par 5s, other than a few par 5s in the game, we're trying to get on in 2 because we're trying to get an eagle. So on those par 5s, it is driver to wood, wood to the green. So we're hitting out with our driver, and then we're ending up on our wood. And if we end up short with our wood, what are we going to be in? We're going to be in short iron or wedge. If we're on that par 4 and we can't get out there far enough with our driver, what are we going to be in? We're going to be in our short iron or our long iron, maybe our wedge. So those 3 clubs right there. So when we talk about short iron and wedge, and even getting into long iron, like for me, I'm looking for ball guide. I mean, because those are the clubs that bring you home, where you're trying to actually put it into the cup. And so ball guide for me is like really important. Like what do we have for ball guide? And we start this off with very little ball guide. When you get a B52, it has a little bit of ball guide. It has no topspin. Got a little bit of backspin. I don't like the fact that it starts off with no topspin. The Grizzly, when you get to a Grizzly, once again, starts off with no topspin, but starts off with great ball guide, and it's really accurate. So when you get it to level 2, you get a little bit of topspin, and you got a little bit of backspin. So, like looking at when you're out there playing the game, like keeping track, because your driver and your wood are going to dictate what kind of long iron you need to carry in your bag. Are you always ending up short and you're always short with distance where you're needing topspin on a long iron? Or are you always ending up where you need a little bit of more backspin? Because as your Saturn gets developed as a common club, it gets developed very quickly. You'll get it up to very usable levels very quickly. When you get it to level 6 is where it really starts to show its potential, because you picked up this 51. It's got 2.9 ball guide. At level 7, where it picks up that 3.4, then it really starts to go. But it's great utility. It has some topspin. It has good backspin. It's got great curl. What are you looking for? I like the Saturn because it's a great utility club. And it worked out. You have to look at how your game is set up, so that like where you're at, like where are you ending up? And when you end up needing your long iron, which long iron do you need? Are you missing the accuracy? Are you missing ball guide? Or what are you missing? But ball guide for the bring it home clubs, the long iron, the short iron, and the wedge, is really key to keep an eye on that ball guide. And this Grim Reaper is not actually a bad club, but it's an epic, so it's not going to go up in levels very fast. But as long as you're in those areas where you don't need a lot of topspin, it's not a bad club. It's not super accurate until it gets to level 3, and it starts to get some. It basically is like an extra mile, and where it's that 2.2, 2.1 per ring. And then when you get these clubs up in level, as you start to work up, all of a sudden you're going to get where you're going to have a selection of these clubs that will work. But for me, I think I want great utility in a long iron. I want a long iron that gives me some curl, and it gives me some backspin, and it gives me some topspin, and it gives me some accuracy. It doesn't have to be more than 50% accurate, but it gives me a little. Ball guide. That Grizzly has been changed completely. That Grizzly, when we start talking about these upper division, upper level clubs, then you've got clubs up where you've got a lot of options. Short iron is the bring it home club. If you watch my stuff on a regular basis, I'm constantly trying to get into my short iron range. And why? Because my short iron is always the most accurate club in my bag with the best ball guide. And so when you have lower developed stuff, this Kingfisher, you're going to get it up. It's a level 2 Epic. You're going to get it up pretty quick. And even when it's at level 1 at 2.3, I mean, let's look at our other options here. 1.5 ball guide, Runner 1.2, the Thorn 2.3. And by the time you get your Thorn and you get to that level, you'll probably have this club to your Kingfisher to level 2, and it's at 2.7. And it's super accurate right off the bat, especially when you get to level 3 and you get that 83 accuracy. When you get it to level 4, it's 88 accurate with 3.4, and it doesn't take very long as a low-level club, especially if you're playing down low where you don't have a lot of options. You're going to get a lot of cards for this and get it up to level 4 real quick. And so a level 4 Kingfisher with 3.4 ball guide and 88 accuracy, and it's got backspin. I hardly ever engage my short iron with topspin. Occasionally, I'll need a little bit of topspin, and that's this club's weakness is distance. Occasionally, you'll need a little bit of topspin, and they buffed this club and gave it that 15 topspin. But this club right here is a great club to have in your bag because of accuracy and ball guide. And when you've got really low level stuff, it is instantly the club in your bag. Like when you first start, you got an Apache. Don't waste a lot of cash on your Apache. Don't worry about upgrading that club, because as soon as you get a Kingfisher, I mean, look at your Apache, 84 power, 79, 0 accuracy, 65, 2.3 ball guide, 1.5. Okay, what's different between upper developed clubs and lower developed clubs is ball guide. Ball guide to me is the number one thing, because you can run stuff up to the hole and really see where it's going to go. So upgrading from 1.5 ball guide to 2.3, I'm going to instantly make that adjustment. Yes, I lost a little bit of distance, but the 2.3 is going to come in really handy. And you'll find that every now and then you'll be on one of those holes the Kingfisher can't quite get it done because it doesn't have enough distance. And you may have to switch to the Runner because it's a common and you're going to get cards for it and get it up pretty quick. And so picking your clubs, for me, short irons are all about accuracy and ball guide. And I want some backspin because I almost always engage my short iron with a little bit of backspin so I can control it as it rolls up to the cup. When you start to get your stuff developed, you have to make a choice. Especially if you get these, once you get these maxed out. So your Thorn's got 4.4 ball guide when it gets maxed out versus 4.1 from the Hornet. So yes, and you've got lots of backspin here, so you can do the backspin stuff. And then yes, it does give you a little bit more ball guide. But for my money, I'm all about the accuracy. I mean, I like the Hornet. I like how it rolls. And it gives me good options as you go up there. Some people are Thorn guys, some players are Thorn players, and some people are Hornet players. I'll always be a Hornet. But while you're working on those clubs, you're going to get this claw. And this claw is not a bad club because it's a common. You're going to get a lot of cards for it, and it's going to get upgraded very quickly. And it has backspin. It has curl. It's got fairly decent ball guide as it starts to move up. It's a great utility club. The thing about the claw, the commons, is they're great utility clubs. The Sniper, the Saturn, the claw, they're great utility clubs. They're great clubs to go out and play one-on-one with because you can get anything done with them. You can do rough bumps, and they got ball guide to run you out there. You can do backspin shots. They've got tons of stuff. They're great utility clubs. When you play in a tournament, you may bring out a specialty club. You may bring out that Thorn because you need backspin and it's got better ball guide. You may be in one of those where you need more accuracy and you can run it up there and you're not doing the rough bump and you can bring out your Hornet, but as far as utility stuff, it's a great utility club. These upper level ones, when you start getting your Falcon worked up in level so that you can use it, it will become, especially when it gets up. My teammate's got a level 3. It's got 3.3 ball guide. I asked them what level is their Kingfisher, because at 3.3, if they've got their Kingfisher to level 4, 79 power versus 85, they're going to lose a little bit of power. But like, where do you end up? Are you using a Kingfisher and you're always a little short, so you're right in your red line and you end up having to use your long iron? And I find that if you're using a Kingfisher, if that's your primary club, your secondary club needs to be a backspin club. So short iron, Kingfisher, long iron, Saturn. And why? Because if you're here and here's your red line and you can't quite get up here because you don't have enough topspin and here's the cup and your red line's right here and you can't get it done with the Kingfisher because you don't have enough distance and you don't have enough topspin, the Saturn's going to be right here. And what does the Saturn have? Saturn has lots of backspin. And so you can go on the other side of the red line and you can come at it with backspin. And if the wind is blowing, if you're getting a tailwind and you can't pull it off, you can still end up here close to the cup so that you can get that shot done, leave yourself a short putt, and force a shootout. If your opponent gets it in because they've got one of those clubs and their red line's there, then you just have to suck it up and deal with that stuff. But I find that the Saturn and the Kingfisher go well together, and you're going to get these clubs right off the bat. So it just depends on when you're thinking about what club are you going to use, instead of going, hey, what does the community say the best club is? You have to look at how your bags are set up and think of what do you want to get out of your bags? Are you looking for utility here because you're on these holes and sometimes you're on a hole and it's like, I need this and sometimes I need that. And so maybe the only long iron you use is a Saturn, and maybe you have an accurate bag and you've got your backbone in there because that's the club. You want that bag to be nothing but accurate stuff. You have to look at how your game is and how your clubs got upgraded and try and complement your clubs together. So when you're out there playing and you go, damn, I can't get that done, step back a little bit and think about, why can't I get it done? Did I mess the drive up and I put myself in a bad spot? Or is it I end up in this spot every stinking time I'm on this hole and it's the perfect spot, but this next club blows? So if that's the case, then what change could you make in there so that you could get that hole done, but it'll still work on those other holes? And so looking at your bag, for me, short iron for me is all about ball guide and accuracy. I want the most accurate, best ball guide in there, and it could be a toss-up between accuracy or ball guide, which one needs to be first. But I know, when you've got lower developed stuff, the Kingfisher is not a bad club because it gets up and level really quick. Wedge, I totally get the whole thing about, I am once again, level 2 epic Firefly. It gets that ball guide, it gets that topspin right off the bat. One of the things the Firefly is weak in, and it never really gets it until it gets way maxed out, and that'll take forever and a day, but one of the things it's weak in is accuracy. But most of the shots that I take with my Firefly are, here's the cup, here's the green, I'm right in this area right here. So I'm running the topspin out, I've moved the ball guide very close to me. So I've made the club more accurate by bringing the ball guide right out to here. I've taken the wind out of play, and the accuracy is not as big a factor. Where the Firefly will hurt you is when you're at max wedge and you're out here and you're having to come in. And so you can't use the topspin. You've got to engage that little bit of backspin, and you've got to try and dribble it up to the cup. That's when it will hurt you. But I find that if I did 10 shots, 9 of those shots were from right here, and the Firefly was the club to have, and maybe 1 will be from right here. As opposed to going, well, yeah, it doesn't have any accuracy. Well, accuracy is really going to affect you when you're out here. So if you're out here 9 out of 10 times, yeah, you probably want to bring clubs that got more accuracy. But if you end up here where you're short off the green 9 out of 10 times, I'd rather have topspin. I'd rather be able to run it up to the cup so that I can pull back, make it so that I'm closer to my ring set so that the club be as super accurate, and wind's not a factor. So for me here, it's topspin and ball guide. And what do we have here? We have topspin and ball guide. I'm not as concerned with accuracy because of how I play the club. So I'm going to keep my Firefly in my bag until I get a rapier. The big debate in this game is the rapier or the Inbringer, because the Inbringer does give you better ball guide. And it gives you better ball guide faster than the rapier. So the rapier being a rare and this being an epic, you're not going to get into the forest until you get your rapier to level 8, whereas you're going to be at 4 at level 3 with the Inbringer, and you're at 3.6 right off the bat. So 3.6 is equal to the level 5 rapier. But here's the thing on them: at level 5 for the rapier, where we can compare what's at the beginning, topspin 30, 38, 38. You don't get to where you could start running it out really until you get to level 7, versus topspin where you can start really running it. You can run it out right here. It's not so good when it's at level 1, but you can start running it out when it gets to the level 2. And so you can run that topspin out. So for me, once again, here's the green, here's the flag. Are you finding yourself really short off the green where you can pull the ball guide back to you, run the topspin out, get rid of the wind? Like here's the bounce and then you're running it out. Or are you finding yourself out here where you're having to do this bounce to get it over there? If you're finding yourself out here a lot where you're far away, Endbringer's probably a better club. But if you're finding yourself close to the green a lot and you're just barely off, in my mind, a Rapier's a better club. And that's just because I'm a Rapier fan. So for those of you that are Endbringer fans, hey, I get it. I get it. And yes, when I get my Rapier to level 7 or my Endbringer to level 7, I may switch to it. But even at level 7 versus a level 9 at 4.2, 4.2, 100% curl, I don't ever engage more than one backspin, maybe 1.5 with my wedge. And that's only on those shots that you're far away. And I find myself not very far away very often. So the backspin really on a wedge is really unimportant. But you got 100 backspin. So if you want to use your Rapier and use backspin, it's great. Topspin, 100%. 95, 97, 90, or 87, 87. Accuracy, I find that the accuracy doesn't play as big a factor with my Rapier because I'm closer up. It only plays a factor when I'm further back. So yes, the Endbringer is going to give you a little bit more of that. So you have to look at how you're playing your clubs and how those clubs match up with the other clubs in your bag when you're deciding like what clubs. Like what are you looking for? Wedge, sand wedge, and rough iron, it's simple for me. I'm looking for distance. Hold on one second. All right, sorry about that. I'm making dinner, so I had to make sure the stuff was where it was at. Rough iron, sand wedges. Okay, for my money, I'm always looking for distance. That's the deal. I mean, and everybody's going to play this stuff different. So for me, I'm always looking for distance. So the whatever the longest rough iron I can get, that's the one I'm going to play. And, starting off, you're going to get your machete versus the Jungleist. And the thing is that there are things on the machete that are nice, but you just have to figure out, you have to decide how you want to play it. Are you looking for me, I'm not looking for accuracy and ball guide and all of this stuff in my rough iron and my sand wedge for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't want to end up in the rough or the sand. That's rule number one. And number two, when I'm in the rough or the sand, it would be nice. And as you get them in, as you start to get your clubs developed, you will be able to really work those clubs to have serious chances to be able to put it in the hole. But in most cases, when you're in the rough or the sand, the whole goal is to recover and scramble your way out of it and get back on track. And so I find that when you first start playing the game, you have no distance with your rough iron and your sand wedge. And so as soon as I can start developing one of those clubs in the rough iron category and the sand wedge category that starts giving me distance, I'm using that club. So I was just playing earlier today, the 88 account, Kyle's practice account, and it has like a level, let's go back down here. It has like a level 8, where the heck is the Malibu? Like a level 8 Malibu, 109. 100% accuracy, 28 topspin, 52 backspin, 76 curl, 4.4 ball guide. I mean, awesome. So if you're consistently hitting into the sand around the green, guess what? You got 100% club, 109. You have a short iron. And it gives you great ball guide. And you have all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, when you're in the sand up there by the green, guess what? I don't want to be in the sand by the green. I don't ever want to be in the sand. But when I'm in the sand, I want 120 yards to try and recover. I want a long iron. Because think about how many of those places that you hit to, where you hit out to that spot and you're in the sand, and if you were 5 inches from where you're at, you'd be in your Saturn range. I find this all the time. If I was just a little bit to the left or the right and I hadn't been in the sand, I would be in my long iron range. That was the shot that I was looking for. And what is the average long iron hit? Somewhere like 120, 125, somewhere in that neighborhood. Look how much topspin you have right off the bat with a Spitfire. So in that 88 account, there's a level 2 Spitfire. Kyle plays with the Malibu. He likes playing with the Malibu. I was playing the account today because I was shooting some video, and I switched it over to the Spitfire because I'm not interested in being really accurate when I'm close up in the sand. I'm interested in recovering, and it hurt me today. I played in a couple, and I ended up in the sand close to the green, and it would have been better to have a Malibu. But I also ended up in the sand one time way out in the middle of the fairway, and I wouldn't have been able to recover if I hadn't had the Spitfire. And so I would rather be able to recover on those shots that I'm out in the fairway somewhere in a sand trap and it didn't go right, and be able to recover with the Spitfire with the starting off at 70 topspin and 120 power. That means it hits 190 yards. I mean, that's a wood. That's the base distance for, 180 yards is your base distance for your big dog. So I mean, that's huge. So I'm definitely, when it comes to the rough iron and the sand wedge category, I'm definitely looking at distance. And I want raw distance and top spin. Because the other thing is that as this club gets developed and you start getting it up to level 3, and I'm not concerned at all about that 6 backspin on a Spitfire because that 6 backspin's a ton. But as you start to develop this, that topspin that's on there, when you're really close to the green, you can use this exactly like you use a rapier. You can run that topspin out. But when you're talking about lower developed stuff, it's kind of a hit or miss thing. We've got 84 distance, 64, 73. Malibu's got 84. So I'm definitely going to be wanting to use my Malibu right off the bat. You're going to get a lot of cards for it. It's a level 3 rare. You will get a lot of cards for it. It'll get upgraded. It gives you good accuracy right off the top. Doesn't give you diddly squat for topspin, but it does give you better than what you got above that. And then as you start to go up, you can start to make a decision on which club you're going to switch to. But for me and these clubs down here for sand wedge and rough iron, for me, it's all about distance. And distance and topspin, those are the two key factors determining these clubs, especially when you start to get your clubs upward developed. For me, it's just going to be because I don't want to end up in the rough or in the sand. And when I do, I want to be able to scramble to get up there with a long iron instead of a short iron. So that was just a little bit on clubs. I could shoot 1,000 videos this month on clubs, and next month we'd still have 1,000 more things to talk about because we're all going to get our clubs at a different level, at a different rate. And we're all going to get them upgraded as we go along, depending on how you play and how much you buy and how much you're, if you never play without open slots, and and what level you are in your divisional, how many more club cards you get when you're in there. If you're staying down at rookie and you're only at rookie, you're only going to get so many from a tour chest. If you're playing up it's one of the reasons why I don't have a problem with my 77 account being expert. I get more club cards in every chest that I open. In the tournaments, guess what? I'm playing a rookie, and I'm going to play against a bunch of experts. So they're going to have better clubs. They're going to have more games. They're going to have one more cash. And I'm okay with that because I'm trying to develop my clubs and trying to get that stuff up. So things that I can do to help develop my clubs, to get my clubs as high a level as I can, as fast as I can. And it takes time. It's going to take time to work on your clubs and develop them. And don't be afraid to try stuff out. Like, take that club out. Like, I don't know if this club's better than this club. Take it out and try it out and see if you like it. You may not like that club, or you may go, hey, I like that club better. I like that thorn better than that Hornet. You're an idiot for not taking that thorn. And that's fine. Everybody's going to find clubs that they really like and that you can trust the numbers and that you feel real comfortable with playing. But don't be afraid to go out there and change them around, and think about why you want a certain club in your bag. Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for ball guide? Are you looking for power? Are you looking for accuracy? What are you looking for in that club? All right, that was a little bit on clubs. And like I said, I could do 1,000 of these. All right. Thanks for watching.